Today's creature is the lion, king of the jungle. You'll need round nose pliers, needle nose pliers, wire cutters, 24 gauge craft wire, 6 bugle beads, 10 bugle beads about half that length, and around 60 seed beads, all in gold, yellow, or an orangish tone. 1 yellow or brown body bead about an inch long, and a yellow sparkly pipe cleaner. Okay, now this is probably the most important bead in the entire piece. It would be preferable to have it in gold or brown, but I've only ever seen them in silver. They're hollow metal and they're full of holes. I mean, there's a hole that goes directly through them, but there's also a large number of holes through the sides. This will be important because we're going to be using it as an anchor point. Okay, so you start with 3 pieces of wire. Take the ends, even them up. Need not be exact. Take your body bead, and you're going to thread them through each end. Now, pull tight. I recommend using your pliers. You would like them to be roughly equal length on each side. Now, take your head and thread it from one side to the other. However, you're also going to thread the legs through. You want them to come out the bottom. Towards the back if you can. However, often that's easier said than done. Now, tighten it up what you can. Careful not to crush the metal bead because since it's hollow, if you're not careful, and you put too much pressure on it, it will smush the bead. Now, you actually want this to come out straight and the legs to come out the bottom. Like so. Now, take one of your small seed beads and brace it up to the end. Then trim off just before the nose. Now, I'm going to curl it around and poke it into one of the other holes. It should look something like this. Next, we're going to thread on one of the seed beads, one of the shorter bugle beads, another seed bead, and one of the longer bugle beads. Now, for the feet, we're going to do something a little different. Take it and bend it over. Now, take your needle nose and hold. Wrap it most of the way around so that it makes a nice little loop. And you're going to thread on about 4 of the seed beads. Feel free to experiment with more or less beads depending on the size. Now, grab it, holding onto the loop of beads. Pull the wire back around. You want it to wrap around that space between beads, the seed beads, and the bugle bead. If you're having trouble getting it tight, you can hold and pull. Anyways, once you've got it secured enough that you're not worried about your beads coming off, trim it. Now, repeat this for the other leg. Okay, next we're going to do the tail. Basically, this part's real easy. You just thread on a whole bunch of your tiny seed beads. Okay, well, maybe easy wasn't the word, simple. Remember, if you're having trouble with the size of your beads, you can always just use a magnifying glass. Okay, once you've gotten to a length you feel comfortable with, you're going to use your thumbnail to separate off the last 3 pieces. Then you're going to, and make sure you try and keep it straight here, bend the wire back and wrap it around where those 3 pieces are, between those and the rest of the tail. Then I'm going to trim off that excess. Try and pinch it in so that it stays relatively straight, but you've got a little bit of leeway here because of this next step. Now, take your pipe cleaner and cut off a small section. I'd say probably an inch, half an inch, something like that. Doesn't need to be much. And you're basically going to pass it through the loop. That is inevitable. Like so. And then wrap it around. This is going to be the little tuft on the tail. I think technically lions have a black tuft on their tail, but I think it looks better and like the way it looks if the mane and the tail match. So I go with whatever pipe cleaner color I'm using. And you have a tail. Now, the back legs are a little more tricky. Okay. Start off with one of your short bugle beads. Then go to one of your seed beads. Now, longer bugle bead, 3 to 4 of your smaller seed beads. Well, seed beads, there's only one size in this project. And then another one of your long bugle beads. Now, bend it back. Actually, you want to leave a little bit of space so that it'll bend properly. Plus, we're going to have to tie onto this again later. And set it up so that the two long bugle beads meet. And then do like you did with the end of the tail and wrap it around. And trim it off. Okay, but that's only half of it. This is indeed going to be the foot, but cats, all cats, big cats, small cats, domestic or wild, have larger thighs on their hind legs. So you're going to take another piece of wire, small piece, could quite easily just be a scrap, and you're going to, you can tie it off like you did to connect these two, or you can just bend it over, grab it with your pliers, and twist. That'll only work though if your bugle bead is wide enough to fit over the twisted together wire. Unless you want to just deal with a gap, in which case, hey, feel free, it's your project. Okay. Now we're going to add on First, I'm going to trim off this small piece. Okay, now string on a couple of your smaller beads. Da-da. Da-da. Okay, now you got two of them and you got this bending section here. You're going to pull one of your wires up so that it's closer to being on the side. And you're going to loop it through on there. Highly recommend pliers at this point. Trim off the excess once again. Remember, you can always tighten things up later. And you want to bend it, not the side wire, you want to keep it up. Notice I'm holding it up here, but put a bend in there. And while it is hollow, it does make a nice representation. For the feet, you want the seed beads, which is actually more representing the paw, to be what it's sitting on, not the bugle beads. So you press the beads down while holding, press the seed beads down while holding the bugle beads up to put that nice bend in there. It gives that kind of a cat-like look. And a little bit of adjustment so that everything lines up nice. And you've got a back leg. Now, as you can probably guess, you need to do this for the other side. This is a better example of how the hind leg should look. Now, those last two beads, you can always tie on a wire in this gap here and tie them back to here. If you make it too tight or too loose, it can cause some of the glass beads to break if you bend it around a little bit, so I'd recommend waiting until the end if you're going to do that, but it's totally optional. You don't have to do it if you don't want. Now, it's time to add in the part that makes a lion look like a lion, the mane. On the back here, between the head and the back, as you will recall from the way we set it up, there will be 3 wires. That makes a good anchor point, so just stick the end of it through those wires. Now, bend it around a few times, hook it under the leg and back, and you're basically just wrapping it around the head. But leaving the face exposed. Trim off the remainder. Make a little bit of adjustments to make it look prettier. And you have a little king of the jungle.